This is the White Raven. Have you ever walked into a room in your own house and realized you've never seen it before? Because sometimes the room isn't new. You are. Lucas stopped sleeping. Every night at exactly 2:13 a.m., the radio came alive. He had thrown it away. He had smashed it. He had even watched the garbage truck take it away. It didn't matter. The next morning, it was always back, sitting on the wooden table in his repair shop, perfectly intact, waiting. The first night, after the police had searched his shop, Lucas covered the radio with a blanket. At 2:13, the blanket began to move. Not violently, just a slow rise, as though something underneath it was breathing. Lucas stood frozen in the doorway. Then the radio spoke. His own voice came from beneath the blanket. "I'm sorry." Lucas backed away. The voice repeated itself. "I'm sorry." Then another voice whispered behind him. "You shouldn't listen to yourself." Lucas spun around. Nobody was there. The following morning, Lucas made a decision. He was leaving town. He packed a suitcase, locked his apartment, and drove toward the highway without looking back. He didn't even take the radio. For the first 40 minutes, everything was normal. Then, his car stereo switched on. Static. Lucas immediately reached for the power button. It didn't work. A faint voice emerged. "Lucas." He pulled the fuse. The voice continued. "Lucas." He stopped the car. Silence. Then the voice came again. This time from the back seat. "You are going the wrong way." Lucas didn't turn around. He stared straight through the windshield. His hands tightened around the steering wheel. "There's nobody in my car." A quiet laugh came from behind him. "I know." Lucas abandoned the car. He walked nearly 2 miles before reaching a small motel beside the highway. The sign above the entrance flickered. Vacancies. Inside, an elderly clerk looked up from behind his desk. Lucas asked for a room. The man slid a key toward him. "Room 17. Lucas stared at the key. "Is there a problem?" The clerk shook his head. "No." Then he added, "Just don't answer the door after 2:13 a.m. Lucas almost laughed, but the clerk wasn't smiling. Room 17 was small. One bed, one bathroom, one television, and an old telephone mounted beside the bed. Lucas checked the clock. 1:47 a.m. He sat on the edge of the mattress. 26 minutes. Then he heard it. Lucas looked at the door. He checked his clock. 2:13. He didn't move. The knocking stopped. For several seconds, there was complete silence. Then A voice came through the door. His mother's voice. She had been dead for 11 years. Lucas? His blood ran cold. Lucas, honey. He covered his mouth. Please, open the door. Lucas closed his eyes. He knew it wasn't her. He knew. But then she said something only his mother could have known. Something she had whispered to him when he was 6 years old. Something no one else had ever heard. Lucas began crying. The voice softened. Please, baby. He reached for the door. His fingers touched the handle. Then the telephone rang. Lucas jumped. The voice outside stopped. The phone rang again. He picked it up. Hello? Silence. Then his own voice answered. Don't open the door. Lucas dropped the receiver. The door handle began turning. Slowly. He ran into the bathroom and locked the door. The handle outside moved again. Once, twice, then stopped. Lucas waited. 1 minute, 2, 5, nothing. Finally, he opened the bathroom door. The motel room was empty. The front door was still locked. He checked the clock. 2:29. He laughed nervously. Maybe he had imagined everything. Then he noticed something. There was another door in the room. A narrow wooden door beside the television. Lucas stared at it. He had never seen it before. There was no handle, only a small brass plate. Room 18. Lucas stepped backward. The motel only had 17 rooms. He knew that because the clerk had told him. He had seen the building from outside. There was no room 18. Yet the door was there. And from the other side came the sound of a radio. Static. Then a voice. Lucas. He approached the door. The voice continued. Finally found it. Lucas didn't open the door. Instead, he left the motel. He ran downstairs. The lobby was empty. The clerk was gone. The front doors were locked. Lucas pounded on the glass. Let me out! No response. Then the lights flickered. Every light in the motel went out. A moment later, the clerk was sitting behind the desk, exactly where he had been. Lucas stared at him. Where were you? The old man looked confused. I've been right here. No, you weren't. The clerk smiled. Then his expression changed. He looked past Lucas, toward the staircase. You opened it, didn't you? Lucas shook his head. I didn't open anything. The clerk whispered. Then why is room 18 following you? Lucas turned. The staircase behind him had changed. There were now 2 additional floors. Lucas stared upward. The motel had only been 1 story. Now the staircase disappeared into darkness above him. and somewhere upstairs, a radio was playing. Lucas ran. He pushed through a side exit and stumbled into the parking lot. His car was waiting. He had left it miles away. The driver's door opened by itself. The radio inside switched on. 2:13 a.m. Lucas didn't move. The radio spoke. You can't leave. Lucas stepped backward. The voice continued. Because you already brought it home. Lucas looked toward the motel. Every window was dark, except one. Room 18. A silhouette stood behind the curtain. Lucas couldn't see his face, but he knew exactly who it was, because the figure raised one hand and waved. Lucas looked down at his own hand. It was raised too. He hadn't moved it. He drove home before sunrise. He didn't remember the journey. He didn't remember unlocking his apartment. He only remembered walking inside. Everything looked normal. His couch, his kitchen, his photographs, his bedroom. Then he heard a sound. Lucas froze. It came from the hallway. He slowly turned. There was a door at the end of the hallway, a door that had never existed before. Room 18. Then he heard a voice from behind the door. His own voice. Lucas. He backed away. The voice whispered, "You shouldn't have left me there." Lucas covered his ears. "No. You promised." "No. You opened the door." "I never opened it." Silence. Then the door slowly opened. Just an inch. Darkness waited on the other side, and from somewhere deep inside came the sound of dozens of people whispering, all saying the same thing. Finally, Lucas stared into the darkness. Then something stepped forward. It looked like Lucas. Same face, same clothes, same scar above the eyebrow. But its eyes were completely black. The thing smiled and whispered, "Now you can go." Lucas didn't understand. What? The creature pointed toward the apartment entrance. The front door was open. Beyond it was the hallway. But the hallway wasn't his apartment building anymore. It was the motel. Room 17 was directly across from him. And on the other side stood room 18. The creature smiled again. "Your turn to broadcast." The door slammed shut. Lucas wakes up the next morning inside his repair shop. He doesn't remember returning. The antique radio sits in front of him. This time, however, it isn't broadcasting someone else's voice. It's broadcasting his. And through the static, Lucas hears himself saying, "If you're hearing this, I'm already inside your house. Then another voice whispers. Episode 3 begins at 2:13. The radio clicks off, and somewhere behind Lucas, a door slowly opens. Well, poor Lucas, he just cannot get rid of that cursed radio and whatever it contains. Thank you for listening. This was The White Raven. If you like the story, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, share it with someone you think might also enjoy it, leave a comment. We love to hear about you. If you have a story and you would like it narrated here, send it to thewhiteravenstories@gmail.com. This was The White Raven. Till next time.